There we go. Hello, everyone. This is John O'Brien calling in from Minneapolis, and it's a pleasure to be here and share with you some informal introduction to EDUCAUSE. I say informal because I'm hoping you'll have questions and comments and we can have more of a discussion than a monologue. And I also include and will include my email at the end of the presentation. Thoughts may come to you afterwards. We're your association, so we want to find out what you need, how we can serve you better, and what we're doing well as well. So consider this hopefully the first of many conversations between EDUCAUSE and you all. So I'm John O'Brien. So I've been in this position as president of EDUCAUSE for almost 2 years. And EDUCAUSE is an organization that's dedicated to helping those who lead, those who manage, and really those who deploy and use information technology in higher education and who are involved in strategic decisions really at every level. And that's our audience, and that's who we serve. And I want to sort of sketch out for you some of the ways we do that, and anxious to hear from you some additional avenues we might consider. So we're a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to advance higher education through the use of information technology. We do that by engaging with our members. So colleges and universities are the bulk of our members. We also have corporate members. We also have foundations, other brother-sister associations who are members of EDUCAUSE, governmental groups, nonprofits, even some K-12 organization. We work together to help with this ongoing transformation, in some ways reimagining of higher education through the use of information technology. We have 45 members represented, 45 countries represented amongst our EDUCAUSE membership. So it's a tremendous reach and a lot of ideas to share among ourselves. So what we do is we are a service organization, so we work to help our members. We do really 4 large categories of effort. One is to build, nurture, and expand a collaborative network of peers. Another is to help our members make informed decisions. A third is to help you stay informed on topics, issues, and trends. And there's so much going on that it's hard to keep up. And so we're going to help you figure out what you need to know, and more on that later, because that's an area of significant attention for the next 5 years. And then finally, we work with our members to help you advance your knowledge, your capacity, your skills, and also to think about careers in the future as well. So professional development has always been a big part of what we do in support of our members. When most people think of EDUCAUSE, they think back, some folks on the call maybe were part of EDUCOM or CAUSE, 20 years ago when these two great organizations merged to form EDUCAUSE. Many people think of EDUCAUSE as primarily an IT leader organization, CIOs and others, but we serve so many different IT professionals within our ranks. We have instructional designers, we have librarians, we have faculty, we have CIOs and deputy CIOs and CISOs and a whole range of IT professionals. Really one of the things that has changed the most over the last 20 years is sort of redefining the breadth and depth of who EDUCAUSE serves. You think about how much the cloud has changed, the kinds of positions we have, and you can see that we serve a really broad group of IT professionals. But more than that, if you start to think as we are, even broader than that, the future of a successful IT is not IT talking to itself. IT needs to work within its ranks, certainly, but I think the future of a successful IT on campus is when IT is talking more collaboratively, more frequently, more meaningfully across, not just the C-suite, but across the silos that higher education is so famous for. So we're going to be spending a lot more time over the next 5 years. We have finished a strategic plan, and one of the 3 strategic priorities for us is to really broaden how we serve both the IT leaders and professionals, but also how we serve the larger campus efforts. Because technology is, from 20 years ago when EDUCAUSE was formed from these 2 groups, EDUCAUSE technology has become just ubiquitous and embedded in so much, really everything of what we do. And so the nature of who EDUCAUSE is and who we serve and who we need to work together with to do our work effectively has really changed. When I'm speaking with presidents or chancellors or CFOs or other C-suite leaders, I'm trying to make the the point in many different ways again and again that they need to see IT not as a utility, which I think has been the past, but to see IT as a strategic asset that affects, enables, and gets traction into so many areas that need attention, whether it's student success or many, many others beyond that. Here's a snapshot of our membership. You can see the biggest group is our U.S. institutions, 1,600 U.S. institutions. It's important to note, just looking at this slide, that the strength of EDUCAUSE isn't that we have sort of consolidation and simplified one clear thinking. We have so many different institution types within even these groups of U.S. institutions. We have large research-intensive universities. We have small technical colleges with 300 students. We have a broad range of members serving a broad range of students. You can see we have a very strong international contingent within EDUCAUSE. You'll see that at our conferences where we get folks literally from all over the world. You'll see we have 350 corporate partners. That may be unique to EDUCAUSE. Some of our brother and sister organizations have, maybe might call their corporate members, associate members or something like that. For EDUCAUSE, for the IT world, our success depends so much on the solutions that we're involved in purchasing, deploying, and standing up that we tend to see our corporate partners differently, and they work hand in hand with us. And certainly there's an arm's length involved that our members want, but within that arm's length, we work together closely with our corporate partners. You'll see we have other associations and also K-12 represented in our ranks as well. Another data point that just makes me proud of EDUCAUSE is just our vast reach. So if you look at all the institutions that we serve, it amounts to over 16 million students who we are working with through our member organizations. So technology, as I said earlier, has moved from being seen as a utility that you really hope is something you don't have to deal with to the situation now where technology is fully integrated in everything we do. It would be too embarrassing to know the answers as to how many of us actually sleep with our phones, but that by itself says exactly how much the technologies that we work on a daily basis have become ubiquitous in our lives. And as that is more and more fully realized, it really broadens the strategic reach and import of technology. So let me tell you a little bit about the ways that we are working within what I think everybody acknowledges is a tremendously dynamic and changing landscape of higher education IT. And again, I really welcome questions that come up to you as I run through some of these slides and make some comments. So the first, when somebody thinks of an association, it is in so many ways at its core an affinity group. It's a group of people with similar interests, similar needs, similar stressors and opportunities and struggles, and that is at its heart what EDUCAUSE strives to do. Members are at the heart of our organization, so we foster communities with common goals. You can look at some of the programs we offer, and there are really so many of them, really all of them, about connecting members' ideas, connecting members with resources that we provide, and helping to sort of catalyze partnerships and new paths of thinking within our membership, and sharing what's working and sharing what didn't work so that we can learn from it together. You'll see a broad range of ways we bring people together. For some people, they might primarily go to our annual conference, which is a really large event. Some may go to smaller events. Some may go to specialized events. Some may join through webinars that EDUCAUSE hosts like this, or like what we're doing today. Everyone has different needs. Everyone has different ability to, hang on, I think I accidentally went to one extra slide. So here's just by the numbers, a really quick snapshot. At any given time, EDUCAUSE has over 60 online discussion groups that are organized around topic areas and affinity groups, over 1,000 people working together to make these events that we create so responsive to member needs. The program committee for the annual conference, for example, is already meeting at the previous year's annual conference, coming together to think about what kinds of event to make it, what kinds of themes should emerge, and really everything we do is powered by our volunteers and the members who work to support EDUCAUSE and the EDUCAUSE community. And at any given point in time, you can see, several thousand institutions sharing ideas, whether it's through what I told you, the online discussion groups, the events we host, or publishing through EDUCAUSE Review. Lots of opportunities for sharing ideas. It's really our superpower. So we focus on building communities, and here's just, this is hardly a complete list, but consider this a snapshot of kind of a larger, sprawling but dynamically changing collection of community efforts. So we have lots of resources through the community. We have almanacs that bring together core data, so you can say, gosh, I wonder what the data points are relative to two-year colleges or relative to universities that do a lot of research. And we have sort of data resources put together. One of my favorites for community resources would be in the area of cybersecurity or information security. So if you're thinking, gosh, we should have an awareness campaign, you can go to the resources through the EDUCAUSE website and find actually an entire annual information security awareness campaign basically all put together for you as a toolkit. So many areas, and again, there's so much on the EDUCAUSE website, you can hardly blame someone for not knowing what's there. And so I encourage you to look on the website, look and see what resources are there, because if something is a high priority for you, you can be pretty sure it is for somebody else, and you may find all kinds of resources there. We offer workshops, not to go into too much detail here, but a couple weeks ago I was at the AGB annual conference. That's a conference for trustees and presidents, and so we're constantly both participating in events to educate ourselves as IT, but also to work with C-suite people, to work with presidents, work with chancellors, and help them understand IT as a strategic asset, not as a utility, and I'll talk a little more about that later. One example of how we do that is through conferences like the Enterprise IT Summit. That's where it says co-conferences there on this slide. So I think this is the fourth year where we have collaborated in that summit, that conference together, bringing chief business officers through NACUBO together with IT professionals to talk about the issues that are at that intersection of those two important groups. We do a lot of work on policy. This acronym soup here, NFB is the Federation of the Blind, so we're working on navigating the comings and goings of accessibility policies and legislation. And the ACE and APLU are just two examples of frequently what we'll do is we'll work with presidential associations, and oftentimes ACE is taking positions on policy issues of the day, and they'll invite other brother-sister associations to sign on, and so we're very active in that way as well. When it's an IT issue, we take the lead. When it's a larger issue that affects colleges and universities, oftentimes it's the presidential associations that take the lead, and we work through our Washington office with them. We have communities of practice there where we start to really focus on specific areas and issues and institution types. The one that I would pull out just as an example is the Leading Academic Transformation Initiative. You can join this community. You don't have to be a member of EDUCAUSE to join the community, but that's a community built around the idea of further connecting IT and IT professionals with academic leaders and academic professionals, but knowing that if IT and academics aren't working closely together, it's difficult to be successful. So another major effort for us is to help advance your knowledge in the job you have and to get you thinking about your career and maybe the next job that you're pursuing. One of our, I mentioned a couple of times, there are strategic priorities that the board unanimously adopted at the end of last year, and one of those goals is to reimagine professional development. So we're going to be working very hard over the next 5 years to reimagine how we help you both be successful at the job you have and contemplate future aspirations as well. So one of the ways we build the profession, sometimes we call it build the profession. In the past, we've also other times talked about the CIO pipeline. There's lots of ways to imagine, lots of efforts that we use to bring together teams of people. So we have and I think Karen is going to maybe put in a link to an infographic that shows a really broad range of professional development institutes that EDUCAUSE offers throughout a given year, giving you an opportunity if you're a brand new manager to meet with other new managers to think about the challenge you're taking on. We have on the other end of the spectrum professional development opportunities for seasoned CIOs as well. And then there's individuals. So, you can really look at our conferences and events as professional development. In fact, I talked to a CIO recently who said he sits down with each and every staff person before they go to the EDUCAUSE annual conference and puts together a sort of an informal professional development plan with them. What are you going to go? What sessions are you planning to go? What do you hope to get out of it? And then after they come back from the conference, meets with them to talk about what they learned. So there's lots of ways to conceive of professional development, or professional learning as we're starting to call it. And then we offer throughout the year, as well as in the resources that we have, opportunities for people to build specific skills in areas, some of these fast-changing occupations that are being created through added attention to information security or through changes in organization resulting from cloud services and so forth. Sorry, trying to advance the slide here. So if you took another snapshot, all the work we do around professional development or building the profession, you can look at our annual conference and the great draw there, the density of folks, lots of sessions, lots of opportunity to network and connect with colleagues. Online webinars and courses are a major part of how we reach out to members. Not everybody has the resources to attend all of our events, so online webinars and courses are an important supplement to that. It's easy to talk about the annual conference, and in fact, one of the most wonderful and maybe frustrating things is when people say, are you going to EDUCAUSE next year? As if EDUCAUSE were just the annual conference. It's great that we get that exposure, but really EDUCAUSE is more than one event. There's a teaching and learning annual meeting that really serves our teaching and learning focus, gets a number of people come there. Security professionals is a growing conference. In fact, this year we're sold out. We have no more room because it's got such great draw. I mentioned the EDUCAUSE Nakubo Enterprise IT Summit. These are just samples of the kinds of events that members typically will attend. There is a link on the website where you can actually look and see all of the EDUCAUSE events and pick through and see what might interest you. We're always revisiting our mix of conferences. We know that we don't want to just have one kind of conference. We never stop and say, well, we have to keep doing that one because we've always done it. And we're always trying to reimagine the best mix, the best way to serve our members whose needs are changing as well. We have some wonderful cohort-based experiences. That's the second to the last item on the slide. So the Leading Change Institute is one example. The Innovation Forum that was named after Diana Oblinger, my predecessor. That's a great example of this collaboration as well, because the Oblinger Innovation Forum involves IT leaders, IT professionals coming, but they bring an academic peer as well. So it has a team-based function built right into it. Discussion forums, again, as I mentioned, over 60 communities of practice, people coming together to talk about issues that matter to them, with over 45,000 folks listening in on those conversations. So it becomes a really powerful outreach on topics that matter. So again, by the numbers, we've got over 50 professional development opportunities annually, from the large annual conference to small meetings, small webinars, and opportunities to learn together in constituent groups and so forth. 15 in-person events typically in any given year, 38 online events, really drawing over 10,000 of our members annually to come and be part of or participate in developing as professionals. So a third area that's a major focus for us at EDUCAUSE and an important way that we try to serve our members is to enhance decision making and provide resources to help folks who are totally swamped at any given point in time, very quickly come together and make the best decisions possible. And oftentimes that's through our researching and benchmarking. And it'd be very easy to spend an entire hour and bring Susan Graycheck, our VP, who oversees research and benchmarking, to come and talk about just the tremendous nexus of work we do to provide methodologically sound research and benchmarking data to our members. You can go through, if I picked the things that you might know most, you'd pick the top 10 IT issues where we try to focus on trends. The top 10 IT issues emerge from our members. We bring together a panel of members that help us determine what the top IT issues are, and you can trace those top 10 IT issues back to the year 2000 when we really started to gather that data. If you don't know the student study or the faculty study or the IT workforce study, those are also important research findings that we've done for more than 1 year. The technology implementation studies, I'm really excited about not only the core data service, which is our core benchmarking, which we've done for many years, that is constantly changing, constantly evolving, but also the new EDUCAUSE benchmarking service. So you're probably used to the core data service, or maybe seeing the almanacs we produce, or the ability to go in and benchmark how much we spend on security compared to other institutions like us, or maybe you create your own sort of customized peer group that you aspire to be like to compare yourself against. Either way, the tool gives you that flexibility. But there are currently eight new EDUCAUSE benchmark tools called maturity and deployment indexes, and I'm particularly interested in these. We beta tested them last year. They're in areas like information security or analytics or student success technology or research computing, and these take a very specific area like that, and we have used experts in the field to identify what are the domains, what are the areas that constitute maturity and success in these high priority areas, and then we ask questions embedded in the core data service related to those areas, and then we can produce from that at a glance a single maturity index that says, okay, here's where you are when it comes to student success technology, and these are the areas you're strong in, you got a 5 out of 5. These two areas you're weaker in, you got a 3 out of 5. And by the way, here's how you compare to all the other institutions like you in your region. Or again, you can customize your own comparison group. And these will grow and change, and we'll be adding new maturity indexes to help colleges and universities be able to really constantly, you want to be able to, look up within your organization, address priorities within the leadership team. We do that every day. But then you want, through these tools, to be able to look out to other institutions as a whole and understand how we compare to them, to look out across your campus and are you meeting the needs of faculty, students, and stakeholders. And these benchmarking tools are a really fundamental way to give you insights, data-driven insights in areas that are of priority. If you took the 8 EDUCAUSE benchmarking service maturity indexes and looked just at the titles of them, they would read like a book about what are the most important issues of higher education. These would be the chapter titles of those. So they're something I hope you'll take a chance to look at, take the time to look at, and help us grow these in the years ahead. So by the numbers, every year we have around 800 colleges and universities participate in the core data service, identifying, and it's a commitment of time and effort to provide all that data year after year, but it's incredibly valuable to understanding not only how your profile has changed from year to year, but again, how you compare to colleges and universities that are peers. Top 10 issues, just to grab that as one example of our reach, we get almost 1.5 million folks who download and look at that as well. I mentioned the faculty and student study. Those are methodologically powerful studies that help to identify trends and needs and challenges when it comes to faculty and students as well. So the other work we do, and sort of caught up in the area that I just covered, is to help you stay informed on the issues of the day that matter. Again, recognizing that not everybody has researchers in their area who can keep track of these things, who can identify trends and so forth. So we figure that's an important service to our members. Kind of talked about this in some of the earlier sections as well, but let me try to focus in a little bit more depth. And maybe before I go to the next slide, I'll just also mention, because I keep hinting at this, our strategic plan, our strategic priorities. But one of our other strategic strategic priorities has to do with personalization of the member experience. So over the next 5 years, we're going to be building out the capacity to try to understand each of our members much better, to understand what issues are keeping you up at night, what challenges you're dealing with at any given point in time. And then rather than just sort of send you everything we have every time we have it, to start to be much better at being able to send you exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. So to better understand exactly what trends, what topics, what issues are hot points for you, and getting that information in your hands. And also for us to understand if we have our fingers on the pulse beat of our members, we can understand, wow, 80% of our members' top priority is such and such. That's going to also help us understand how we need to change, be more responsive, and possibly build out our content in one area over other areas if we know that that's something our members are particularly concerned about. So we track trends, talked about that. We engage our members, both bringing them together physically, but also connecting them and engaging them in the ideas that matter. And we work hard to provide a vast amount of resources for our members. Going forward, this is, if you have the ability to Zoom there, but maybe I will type into the chat the link to the 5-year plan that is bigger so you can actually dig into that if you're interested. But this is the short version, the one-pager of our 5-year plan. The first of the 3 strategic priorities on the far left is personalized member experience. I've already talked about our desire to become more able and increasingly focused on getting you exactly what you want. You're going to see more on that each year over the next 5 years. Another element of that is our new member model. So if we're able to do what I hope we can do, and we will be able to do, which is to personalize the member experience, it means that we need to have the ability to send each member whatever they need when they have it or when they want it. And right now, under our current member model, if you're a member of ECAR, you get ECAR stuff. If you're a member of ELI, we can get you ELI material. But if you're not a member of both, if you don't subscribe and pay extra for both, then you don't have the same access. And so beginning July 1st, we're changing that completely. Every member of EDUCAUSE has full access to ELI materials. Every member of EDUCAUSE will have full access to ECAR materials and the research as well, rather than to have to wait for it to be opened up to all members. So we're excited about that. That's going to free us up to be able to get you exactly what you need when you need it, except to have to, as opposed to now where we have to say, oh, wait, you're not a member of ELI, so you'll have to wait to get that. So that's a member model enabling change that's going to allow us to do the first strategic priority. The second strategic priority is the reimagining professional learning, which I've talked about. And the third is on the one hand, not at all a surprise. On the other hand, so important. It's partnerships and collaboration. So I've really talked about that throughout, how we're going to work with NACUBO and other associations, and how we're going to work with presidential associations to tell the story of the strategic influence and IT as a strategic asset, and working with business officers when it comes to procurement and cloud computing. I mean, we need to connect much more meaningfully with these groups, so we think that we get better at telling the IT story across the C-suite, across the colleges and universities, that's going to be an important service to the IT community. So I think that's all I had prepared. I really invite you to explore EDUCAUSE, come to events. If you haven't looked at EDUCAUSE Review in a while, it still is on every coffee table I've ever had, because you can see there's some really fine writing. And if you've not proposed anything to write for EDUCAUSE Review, I'd also urge you to do that as well. It's a great chance for you to share what insights you have with your peers. So I'm going to enter in right now my email address in case you want to contact me offline. You can also follow any of these links to learn more about EDUCAUSE. But with that, I think I'll invite our chair to unmute, and we can.
The conference has been unmuted.
Any questions or comments?
Hi, John. This is Yvonne at UCOP.
Hi.
Hi there. I just have how to make this concrete. Let's pretend I'm a new staff person in IT in higher ed. So it's like my first job in higher ed, what's the path that you would recommend for me to start getting involved in EDUCAUSE? What do I do first?
Yeah, I would urge someone who is completely new to EDUCAUSE, first of all, to just set aside some time and browse and play. I mean, just go to the website, and we have, our website has in past years struggled. I would urge people who haven't been there in a while to go back, and we've made some major architectural changes and technology infrastructure changes and search engine changes, and it's a different site than it was a year ago. And really, it's designed to allow you to explore. So I would encourage somebody to just go enter in, search for areas that they know are part of their new responsibilities that maybe they feel a little vulnerable on, to connect to constituent groups in areas that concern them. I'm a member of 4 or 5 different constituent groups, and the conversations there are really powerful. And it's also because they're organized around very specific interest groups, it's a little easier to take some risks and be a little vulnerable and admit what you don't know, which sometimes can be harder on the colleagues on your own campus. So, we're also encourage people to pick up the phone and call our member services. They're staff that are there to help you connect and use the resources that are available to you. I probably shouldn't even say this because I think it's either just launched or in the process of being launched, but a new website element called a professional development concierge, a PD concierge, that sort of asks you some questions about your professional development interests and then points you to some resources. So your question, and you probably didn't mean it to be, but your question does point at kind of a historical vulnerability with EDUCAUSE. We've been around for so long. We have created so much over the past years that sometimes it's just hard to find what you need. And so I think really just having opportunities to play and look and explore is the best thing, but also picking up the phone and calling member services and saying, hey, I just got this position. I'm really trying to learn more about thus and such. Where can I go? The best strength of our website and of our services is when we point our members toward one another.
And am I a member if my institution is a member? And are
yes,
all UC campuses
absolutely.
members? Are all UC campuses members?
That I don't know. And Karen's on the staff members on the call, and maybe Karen, you can see. I really don't know which system memberships we have in place or not in California, but certainly if your college or university is a member, everyone on that campus has full access to everything.
Great.
Hi, John. My name's Annalie. I'm at UCLA.
Hi, Anna.
Can you hear me?
Annalie? Hi.
Yeah.
Yes, I hear you fine.
Thank you for the presentation. I've actually been in higher ed IT for a while, and I know and have attended EDUCAUSE, the annual conference, and various events. One comment, I had 2 comments to make. One is I'm really glad that you're opening up access to all of the resources, and like eCar and the like, because that's been a frustration. And the second comment is I attended long ago an EDUCAUSE regional event in San Francisco, and I found that to be really, really valuable. I sometimes find the annual conference to be so big as to be hard to get to plug into, and the regional conference was really easy to do, and I think I learned almost as much there as I would at the annual, because I wasn't struggling with being overwhelmed with the where to go and what to do. So I put in a plug, I guess, in for things like that.
Thanks. I really appreciate that. I love your phrase, EDUCAUSE opening up. That's about the most flattering thing to say. And you remind me to mention another way we're opening up. When I first started, I did a community poll to give anybody the opportunity to say what they love and what they'd like to see EDUCAUSE change, and then we followed it up with a member survey. And there's one of the most common concerns that we heard was younger professionals in their first decade in IT work, let's say, who look and say, gosh, how do I get involved in EDUCAUSE if I'm not a CIO or a deputy CIO or somebody who's been in IT for 20 years? And I thought that was an absolutely spot-on concern. So I created a a Young Professionals Advisory Council, and we are really attending to how can we make EDUCAUSE relevant and crucial for IT professionals at all stages in their career. And so if you have other ideas for ways we need to open up, I think I'm really anxious to hear them, because that's part of, when an organization's been around for 20 years, sometimes it doesn't always ask itself those questions.
Okay, absolutely. Maybe offering, I don't know if there's funding for this, but offering scholarships, that's worked well in the UC system, to offer first-timers scholarships to attend our annual conference, and helping people get to the annual EDUCAUSE conference, sort of having an incentive, and also helping those who may be strapped for funding, for particularly for newer people, I think.
Yep, that's a great idea. I mean, we do have some scholarships, but probably nearly not as much as is the need out there.
Okay, well, I'll check into what you do have.
Email me and I'll be happy to point it to you.
Okay, all right, great. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Hi, John. This is Debbie at UC Riverside. How are you?
Hi, Debbie.
Hey, this has been a really good conversation, and we had some questions here with regard to the thing that you've been talking about with staff that are early in their careers and don't know how to get connected and all of that, and I think you've addressed that very well. One of the questions that we still have is, it appears to us, those who have been to some of your conferences, the feeling is that it's really hard for California IT folks specifically, to get our proposals accepted into the EDUCAUSE conferences. And so we need some sort of advice or some sort of a tool to help us make our proposals more competitive. Do you have any suggestions there?
Well, I can, let me first perhaps feebly ask for some empathy in that it's very, very competitive. I mean, we get hundreds of more proposals than we're able to take. That we have multiple. I mean, of all the conferences that I've ever been involved in my career, I've never seen anything like the level of fairness and scrutiny that goes into the review. Multiple readers, but in the end, there's people whose presentations don't get accepted, and that is hard. And so please understand it's very competitive. I don't know that I can say exactly if there's a trick to getting proposals accepted or more than currently. What I'd love to do is if you could contact me offline by email, and then let me bring the chair of the program committee into our conversation, because I would benefit from hearing the answer. And if the answer is, well, there's such and such available, then that would help us communicate that better back to all the members. Does that seem fair?
That seems fair. I'll absolutely do that.
I mean, I can tell you that other times I've been part of conferences that will produce sample proposals. The problem then is that they all look exactly like that, because then people sort of slavishly say, well, that's the ticket, so I'm going to write mine like that, and then it almost has the opposite effect. So
okay. Well,
so I'll watch for your email.
I'll follow up. Thank you.
Thanks.
This is Annalie again. I guess I'll add one more comment. I also find having access to webinars like this and others really valuable as well, because as we all know, travel, aside from the cost, just the time away. So thank you for that, and please do more or as much as you can of that. And if you can archive as many of them as possible too, so those who miss them can attend them later, that's fantastic.
Yeah, unless Karen or Mark or staff who are on immediately say, what John meant to say was, I think all of them are recorded for people to view later. Karen, if you think of it, could you find the event finder. We have a tool on the website called Event Finder where people can find in one place all of the EDUCAUSE events. So that might be another. Back to the earlier question about, so I have a new staff person and how would I acquaint them with the breadth and depth of offerings. I mean, the Event Finder might be an example of a way to get started there. And similarly, if you're looking for webinars, I know we have one coming up on accessibility on April 27th, but we have those with some frequency, and those are great ways to engage as well.
This is Karen here, and yep, I've put that URL in. And John had asked earlier, or someone had asked earlier, if all the University of California institutions are members, and it looks to me like the answer is probably yes, but I've added the link to the EDUCAUSE member directory there in case people want to query their own institution.
Thanks, Karen. I would also love to hear from anybody on the phone. If there's one thing you wish EDUCAUSE would do differently, what would that one thing be? That didn't rouse the crickets at all.
I think it sounds like there's so much you are doing that it's, wow.
That's very gracious. But, well, listen, if any of this has shaken loose thoughts, ideas, I mean, it almost sounds corny, but we are your association, and we're like a big family, and if we can do something we're not doing, I would sure hope somebody would tell us. And so you've got my email. I welcome opportunities to hear when we do something right, just as eager to hear when we don't do something right or when we could do something differently. And so please don't be shy. Just like you, we're constantly working on continuous improvement, trying to be better and focused on service. So any other questions or comments? Last call.
Sure. Hi, my name's Scotty Brookie at UC Santa Cruz. Can you hear me okay?
Scotty. Yep, you're great.
Well, I just wanted to say I have worked at UC Santa Cruz for many years, but we are searching for a new CIO. And I have been on the search committee, so I have now participated in interviews with many applicants, all of whom I think were CIOs or associate CIOs, and pretty much all of whom sang the praises of EDUCAUSE. And I knew about EDUCAUSE, and I get the magazine, and I had a general sense of your good works, but having all these candidates reinforce the importance of EDUCAUSE, when your email came by with a webinar, I'm like, perfect. That is a way I know I can easily participate and learn about what you do. So your webinar was very timely, and do more of those.
Great. I will, and please share the recording of it recklessly amongst your colleagues and friends.
All right. Very good.
Thank you. I think we may be done with questions, so I'll just say thank you all so much. I will type my email address in one last time, and thank you for listening. I really enjoyed the chance to talk to you.